This video is going to be looking at how to cancel a session using the Direct Care modification form located inside of the virtual office. The first step is to locate the Direct Care modification button located right here and select that. This will bring us to the Direct Care modification form itself. We then need to enter our first and last name as well as our client's name. We're just going to put this in for the now. And then it's going to ask us about the type of modification that we are submitting. In this case, we're going to choose cancel a session, as we just want to indicate that an originally scheduled session is not taking place at the time or date it was originally scheduled for, and then hit next. It's then going to ask us if I am canceling the session as the provider, or if the family/client has requested to cancel the session. Let's start with what it looks like if I cancel the session as the provider and then hit next again. It's going to ask me for the date of the canceled session. Let's say August 10th. The start time we'll put as 9 a.m. It's going to ask if we have identified a makeup time for the session. We're going to select yes, as this is part of the process of canceling a session, is to go ahead and be preemptively communicating with the family what options are available for makeup times, and to do our best to ensure that we have already established a makeup time for the session to make sure that we maintain as high a conversion percentage as possible. It's then going to ask what the cancellation is due to. We have car or transportation issues, for example, flat tire, ran out of gas, the car broke down. If we are sick and unable to attend the session, a medical concern such as a doctor's appointment, weather such as snow, tornado, icy roads, anything of that nature, an officially recognized company holiday. Then we have whether it is direct exposure to COVID or if we are experiencing COVID symptoms. We also have pre-approved time off with dates approved on the offer letter, and planned with PTO, which will require 1 week of notice. We then have other if our reason for cancellation does not fall into any of the categories listed above. In this case, we're going to choose car or transportation issues and hit next. It's going to ask us to confirm that our PTO request has already been submitted through ADP. This should always be done prior to filling out the form, and if we want to ensure that this is an excused absence, we need to make sure that that PTO request is submitted either a week in advance, as the previous category for modification asked us about, or that we are finding coverage for the session, in which case, instead of filling out this form, the person providing coverage would be the one to fill out the providing coverage form. However, since we are at this point in the cancellation form, we can assume that neither of those things have occurred and that this will be an unexcused absence, but we're still going to be required to spend PTO on it. So we're going to need to hit initial that we've confirmed here and then hit next. It's going to ask if the family has been made aware of the change and if the consultant has been made aware of the change. Both the family and consultant should always be made aware of any scheduling changes as early as possible to ensure that everyone is on the same page, everyone is aware of what the current schedule is going to look like, and that no one wastes time or that there's any confusion last second trying to find someone when there is no plan for them to be at the session anymore. We then have a comment section below, just in case there's anything that is pertinent that we need to communicate to the scheduling assistant about this case or why it's being canceled, anything of that nature. We would then hit submit, and we would be done submitting our cancellation form. However, let's take a step back and see how the form looks different when we select that the family or client has requested to cancel the session. So we're going to select that option, hit next. It's then going to give us the client's reason for cancellation, which are slightly different than the provider cancellations. We have sick. The client is sick and contagious. If it's a medical concern, such as a doctor's appointment. If it's an officially recognized ABS holiday. if the client is on vacation, if we have weather, such as snow, tornado, or ice again, if there's a transportation concern, such as no transportation to the clinic, or they're not home by session time, if it's a no-call, no-show, in which case the client never showed up and never called or contacted you to inform that they were canceling the session. We then have the COVID exposure and COVID symptoms again, and we also have our other category in case, once again, it does not fall into one of the above categories for cancellation. In this case, let's say that the client is sick. It's going to ask us for the date of the canceled session. We'll say August 10th again. The start time we'll still put as 9 a.m. and let's put the end time as 1 p.m. this time. And it's then going to once again ask us if makeup time has been identified for this session. We're going to select yes and hit next. It will once again ask us for the date of the canceled session. So let's say August 10th. It's going to once again ask for the start time of the canceled session, which is going to be 9 a.m. again. And then it's going to change to the makeup session because we selected that yes, we did have a makeup time scheduled. So now it's going to ask for the date of the makeup session. Let's say it's happening on the 11th. The start time of the makeup session will be 9 a.m. and the end time will still be 1 p.m. Then it's going to ask about the location of the makeup session. Our options here are either in-home, at the ABS center or clinic, at a school, at a daycare, or through telehealth. In this case, let's select that is happening at the ABS center or clinic and hit next. It's going to ask if the consultant has been made aware of the change. Again, the consultant should always be contacted as early as possible to ensure that they are aware of any scheduling changes. So we're going to hit yes. And you'll notice that in this instance, because we selected that it was a client cancellation, it's not going to ask us if the client is aware of the change because obviously they're the ones who initiated the change in the first place. We then have a comment section, and then we can hit submit, and we are now done submitting a cancellation for a client canceled appointment. In later videos, we'll go over what to do if it is not a cancellation occurring and it's a different type of modification. But for now, we are done submitting this cancellation.